And I think that we would see as it moved across the screen that the body of the airplane in front would have struck the stars as it moved, and as we...
You had to classify this in a case folder. How would you classify it?
A big question mark.
The Air Force sighting is the latest addition in a gallery of UFO sightings recorded over the past 50 years, all of which fuel America's skyrocketing fascination with the subject. Poll after poll shows that about half the public believes UFOs are something real, and about a quarter believe specifically that UFOs are alien spacecraft.
Scientists would point out that merely believing in them doesn't make them real.
We're teaching people not to panic if American missiles were fired. Stay calm was the message, but Russians were as scared as Americans.
What our people were mostly.
An evil and malignant way of life.
There's some of the swimsuits that they wore.
Those don't look that old.
Well, no, hey, this closed down in 1988.
1988?
1988.
1988. Sort of a storied past we have here in Wallace.
That's right, this oasis didn't run dry until just 7 years ago. It was one of 5 houses of ill repute locally that finally closed down for good.
Patrick is producer and host of Orgy TV. In his first videotaping, Fitzpatrick introduced segments of adult films, pornographic sex we cannot show you. His plan is to have demonstrations of sex right in the studio, and says his goal is to stir the debate on pornography and obscenity.
I find that many people on the anti-pornography side have never seen the material that they want to ban, and have no knowledge of the material that they want to ban. And through this program, they can just turn to Channel 11 and see what it is that they're proposing to ban.
Operators of Portland Cable Access say Fitzpatrick has the right to produce the show, but they reserve judgment on its possible violation of law.
The question we have is to the legality of it, and we are not the arbiters of legality of the program. The district attorney would be the arbiter of that.
Paul learned to make poison gas. It may have been this book and this author.
The information was already out to begin with. I didn't invent this stuff, you know?
America protects obnoxious speech, but when does speech become dangerous?
There are situations where people are oppressed and they have a need to fight guerrilla war, and being outgunned by a superior enemy, they need an equalizer.
Coming up, the limits of speech.
There's a lot of irresponsible speech, and my responsible speech may not be your responsible speech.
From King 5 News, this is the Compton Report.
Some call it the new obscenity, speech that advocates violence. America has always protected free expression, but when the book is a bomb manual or instructions for nerve gas, an old issue comes back. Should potentially dangerous speech be limited in advance? Our courts have always held that prior restraint is not allowed. But faced with Oklahoma City and Tokyo, can we still say that explosives or poison gas formulas should be protected? Today, our look at truly outrageous speech in a conversation with a man who writes bomb and poison manuals and accepts no responsibility for their use. You'll also meet a distinguished First Amendment lawyer, and beyond dangerous speech, we'll introduce you to a man who authors books on dumpster diving. It's different. But the central issue, the limits of speech, is a deadly serious one.
This is what some fear, the violent acting out or implementation of angry words or frustrated dissent. There are clear criminal penalties for such acts, but should we seek to prevent them by restricting speech that inflames passion or gives the recipe for a bomb? America has always said no. The right to express obnoxious or even dangerous ideas is protected nowhere else as it is in America. Remember the book that enraged the Islamic world? The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie was a fantasy about the struggle between the forces of good and evil. To pious Muslims, it was blasphemy.
He has murdered our feelings, our sentiments, our souls, our spirits, our hearts, and he's a murderer. He must die.
But it was the death threat, not the book, that infuriated British authorities.
Nobody has the right to incite people to violence on British soil or against British citizens.
Nevertheless, so potent was the Islamic outcry that publishers refused to print it and booksellers refused to sell it, bringing this New York protest. This was a demonstration in Seattle against a movie called The Last Temptation of Christ, which depicted Jesus in sometimes raw and unflattering ways.
This is far beyond the parameters of human decency.
The movie played on to a wider audience because of the controversy. The Lake Washington School District was in an uproar over 3 folklore books, which some parents found too graphic and too scary for a school library.
I was upset by the graphic illustrations and violent stories.
Despite references to death, devil, and dismemberment, the community had little appetite for outright censorship.
We can't start banning books. That's like Nazi Germany.
The story was repeated with Final Exit, a how-to-do-it book about ending one's life. However distasteful, there was no question about limiting sales or distribution.
I don't think that there's any information that you can have that's bad for you.
Jim Hawkshire is a local author who has written a book about how to raise and prepare opium, and another about how to sell one's body parts. He sees no limits to speech.
Look, here's another book that I'm thinking about writing, is How to Make Heroin at Home. Because you can. You can make it yourself. You can make it purer, better, cheaper by yourself. You don't need to have some cartel, some mafioso making it for you. If you're going to take heroin, you're going to take heroin.
America has been a virtual paradise for speech, with nothing seeming too shocking or obnoxious to public taste, until some recent events in the news. When 12 were killed and thousands injured in the Japanese gas attack, Japanese television reporters began a search for how the sarin gas had been made. Their search led them to an American author in Madison, Wisconsin, who had written a book called Silent Death, detailing the making of poisons, lethal gases, and germ warfare agents.
It's more like cooking in your kitchen than anything else.
The author, Steve Preisler, who writes under the name Uncle Fester, then further startled the Japanese with a demonstration of how to make sarin gas at home. You've written about how to make nerve gas and botulism and illegal drugs like methamphetamine and LSD. How can we see you as a responsible member of society?
Well, what is society? I have the right to write by virtue of being a human being. Now, what everybody else's opinion is on the matter is really inconsequential. What I'm worried about is my buying public there. They all approve. That's cool by me.
You actually talk about delivery systems and death rates and the likelihood that one system might work better than another in the case of various kinds of poison gas.
Yes, that's part of a thorough treatment of the topic.
Well, it's aimed at the criminal, isn't it? At the person who wants to do these things.
Well, it's aimed at a serious discussion of the topic is what it's aimed at.
But it seems to promote lawlessness. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I wrote it from what I assume to be a military point of view, weighing the value of one material over another, attack plans. I viewed it as a military matter.
That strikes me as a very kind of easy rationalization for doing something that could easily, in the wrong hands, cause suffering or death. Don't you have to draw the line somewhere?
Well, like I say, the information's already out there. It isn't like I invented it. I'm not Albert Einstein, the inventor of the atom bomb here. What I did was compile the information, which was already in the open scientific literature. So if a person really wanted to get their hands on that information, it was out there to begin with. How did I write the book?
Well, how did you write the book?
Well, I spent a long time digging through libraries, through chemical abstract references, through old war manuals, and then compiled it.
But won't you concede to me that by putting this stuff together, by compiling it, that you're putting a tool in the hands of dangerous people or angry people without which they might not kill?
Well, that can very well happen. I'll readily grant that. Then again, there are situations where people are oppressed and they have a need to fight guerrilla war, and being outgunned by a superior enemy, they need an equalizer.
So you see yourself as a friend of the oppressed when you write a book about nerve gas?
Well, I consider it empowering people.
Do you believe that your book on silent death, it's called, was used in Japan by the Aum Shinrikyo and the sarin gas attack?
It would seem so, since number one, the attack plan which they used in the original attack in Matsumoto used the rapid heating technique which I had listed in the book. Also, it appears that they were doing germ cultivation experiments, which would seem to me to be an attempt to cultivate botulism toxin, which is the next chapter after nerve gas in silent death.
Are you pleased with that? It sounds like you're happy with the fact that they might have used your book.
Well, you know, all four books are like your children, you know. Some of them go wayward on you, but, well, you still develop an attachment to them.
And I guess there's other information, like how to make bombs out there, too.
Yes, indeed there is.
So do you think that books about bombs are perfectly justified in spite of what we saw in Oklahoma City?
Yes, indeed I do.
Would you write such a book?
I already have. Homework Shop Explosives by Uncle Fester.
And you have no qualms about who might get such a book?
Well, back when I was in college, some of my fondest memories center around fooling around with explosives. I had a great time fooling around with that stuff.
Do you think that you live outside society and its rules? Is that where you situate yourself?
Well, I don't really have much to do with it. I live a very quiet and private life.
Quiet and private life that may, however, impinge on other people's lives when explosives or nerve gas are used.
Well, no, I don't see this book here blowing up, now do you?
The book doesn't, but in the wrong hands it shows people how to kill with explosives.
That information is already out there. Like it says in the front, this book is sold for informational purposes only. This book in no way condones illegal activity.
Do you think for a minute that people buy it for informational purposes only?
Well, I find it to be a quite entertaining book. I often read through it again just to get some chuckles.
Steve Preisler, also known as Uncle Fester, thanks for talking to us from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Coming up, we visit the publishing house that prints and distributes Uncle Fester's books and just about everything else. And later, a whimsical trip through the world of dumpster diving with an author whose speech is more shocking than dangerous.
Okay. Serial slaughter. What's behind the murder epidemic?
These are some of the titles published or distributed by a Port Townsend company called Loompanics.
Black Book, improvised munitions. Okay. Here's explosives made with fertilizers.
Here's a big one.
Okay. Sabotage.
There are books on weapons, fake ID, poison, wiretapping, disguises, as well as various libertarian tracts and government reprints.
Here's a good one, the CIA catalog of clandestine weapons.
This is our second all-time bestseller, The Complete Guide to Lockpicking, by my friend Eddie the Wire.
That's illegal.
Well, picking locks can be illegal under certain circumstances, but this information has plenty of legitimate use. Locksmiths, police officers, firemen, magicians, hobbyists.
Mike Hoy started the company